welcome y'all to Backwoods Obscura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris.
Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year.
How did you actually spend New Year's?
Doing jack shit.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. I know we kind of had the opposite experience.
Yeah, because I drove literally, so Christmas Eve, I found out we left my son's medication prescriptions here, and we could trust my uncle to get them. My mom got a little mad at me on this one because I drove all the way back from Cleveland, Mississippi to where we live, which was 6 hours round trip, because last year my uncle got, he imbibed and habituant pretty heavily and left Emily and I's gifts at his house for 2 weeks after Christmas, and made me feel bad. Like, I'm sitting there like, I didn't tell him thank you for stuff. Like, oh God, what'd Scott get me? Oh shit. And then all of a sudden he comes over to my house. I'm sorry, I forgot these. So I'm sitting there like, do I need to really trust him to be the one to get the prescription? So
it's like, no.
So I drove back and did that. So that's 6 hours. So roughly about 300 miles doing that. And then drove to Indiana, spent a week there. And yesterday I was in Illinois. And I don't mean sort of in Illinois. I was in central Illinois and drove home.
Like, how close to Chicago were you?
I was still 200 miles from Chicago.
That's still pretty close. That's close to us.
Let me put it this way. I was 200 miles from Chicago. I had a full tank of gas, a half pack of cigarettes, and I was ready to go. And it was daytime, and I was wearing sunglasses.
The cigarettes is a joke.
I was quoting the Blues Brothers.
Yeah. Well, people. One, I forgot, and two, we might not have listeners that remember.
I actually did. On a side note, I did listen to a 2-hour free audiobook that is Dan Aykroyd telling the story of how the Blues Brothers came together.
It wasn't actually an SNL skit. Or originally wasn't an SNL skit.
The first time they appeared, they were dressed as bumblebees because Lauren Michaels hated the idea. Because it would imply back in the 70s that somebody was doing drugs. Because that's the whole reason the Blues Brothers were supposed to have the sunglasses on. Is like jazzmen back in the day.
Oh, right.
Hiding the bags under their eyes from like staying up late and doing drugs and all that type of shit.
I mean, that's fucking hilarious considering like the entire Blues Brothers movie.
Which my wife's favorite moment in all of the Blues Brothers movie is Princess Leia using a bazooka. That
one's good. The Illinois Nazi.
Killing Illinois Nazis was pretty good. Also, one of my favorite moments is, you got my cheese whiz, boy. How many times have I actually used that line with us when we're hanging out? Like, I brought this, and you got my cheese whiz, boy.
No, so many good lines, but for me, I just had my family over at like 11 o'clock on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I cooked. I spent the 3 prior days getting both the gumbo and the stock. First, the stock.
You don't say, like every Discord post that we put up, I can't talk, I'm cooking. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I was making stock and I cooked it for like 12 hours. And then I used that stock to make gumbo.
You do make good gumbo.
Thank you. And then I served that gumbo and everyone liked it. Although later in the week, Rachel and Terry, my brother and sister-in-law, left early. So I don't know if Terry actually got any.
Oh, man.
Because he was so bashful not to ask to make, or if he could make rice or anything. I was just like, dude, you could have just made rice. If we didn't have any rice left, you could have just made some more, or you could have asked me,
I would let him make the rice because Terry's a really cool dude, and I feel like he would do good at making rice. But let's be honest,
also,
I don't trust
his family, so and they stay there anyway.
I don't trust some of my family to make rice. Like, while I was gone picking stuff up, my mother had made chicken and sausage gumbo and messed up 1 minute rice. She turned it into porridge.
Oh, no. What? Okay, first mistake, 1 minute rice.
Second mistake, my wife was still there with her going, hey, Miss Miro's mom or Hewitt's mom,
Yeah.
I can make the rice. Hewitt and I eat a lot of rice. You're on a low carb diet. You know, oh no, I got this, honey. I got this.
Do you though? It's like, no, not really.
She's got a grip of this like most of us walking into this new year.
Yeah.
But you know, we're talking about family right now. So let's talk about the first family, paranormal investigation.
Paranoia.
Now I'm thinking about the movie Boys from Brazil. Or no, just the movie Brazil that was by Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
Not Terry Pratchett. What's his name? Terry Gilliam.
Yeah. Man, we really botched the segue there. Ed and Larraine Warren.
Yep, we're talking about the Warrens, which before we do, I'm going to crack open this beer that I bootlegged from Indiana for both of us. For the general listeners, we don't get North Coast in our neck of the woods because there is a argument between them and some distributors. So we don't get it. So I got one of Chris's favorite beers, and this 6-pack has quickly disappeared, and it is Scrimshaw.
Yeah, he literally had to like grab his before
he would have drank all of them, folks.
Okay.
But it is North Coast Brewing Scrimshaw. Their is this a Pilsner?
Yeah, it's a Pilsner.
It is good.
That's one of the great things about this. It's like a basic Pilsner, but it's like one of the best Pilsner. Like
it's still malty.
Yeah, it's one of those kinds of beers where it's like simple, basic, gets everything right. It's just.
And I'm also drinking out of a Christmas gift out of a horn cup. But let's start. Let's get back off of the beer, which we had to. I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna drink good beer because we're not about to talk about what Chris or I consider good people.
Yeah. Well, let's not bury the lead too much.
No, we're not. I'm just going ahead and just I'm kind of letting my flag out there.
I think we've made our feelings known in past episodes, but let's just pretend for a moment that like anyone who is first listening to this doesn't know about the Warrens, even though they're kind of a household name in terms of like the paranormal at this point.
Well, I learned this week, and we talked to Emily's friend Matt, who's like uber nerd, and he didn't know some of the stuff that I considered common knowledge in our group because I always assume I'm the last person to find out anything. And I went, oh God, I might not be a normie anymore.
It's like, oh no, I'm changing. Where's this fedora coming from? No,
my beard shifted to my neck.
Now you're 40, I'm almost 40. We're doing
as you put on your Bass Pro Shop.
I am so happy. I mean, I know we're just extending this for even more now, but he got me a Bass Pro Shop hat, and I love it. And
got him some bait.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if we end up because I sent you a link to a haunted house that is up in Memphis that allows tours.
That's something you need to show me, the ghost hunting equipment. But
we'll do that. That'll be in another podcast. But I'm just saying is that there's a house, I think it's a bar up there that allows you to do investigations. But if we do that, I'm definitely going to take you to the pyramid because while we were there, we thought the ponds weren't that deep because like there's one that had one pond we knew was deep because they had boats in it. And then there was a trout pond, and then all of a sudden a 8-foot albino sturgeon came swimming up, and I was like, oh wow. And then by the elevator goes all the way to the top of the pyramid, there's alligators. Like, oh my God, those alligators huge. I'm looking at that as a 3.5-foot alligator. I am jaded. But then you get over, there's a whole pond next to the Wahlburgers that is nothing but alligator gar.
Of course there's the Wahlburgers in there.
Wahlburgers, mid. It's not bad.
I'm just saying, I expect a Wahlburgers.
But it's also off of a bowling alley that's shark themed. But here's the thing: is the alligator gar tank? There's like 2 6-foot alligator gars, and the rest of them are small. And I'm sitting there going, that water ain't that deep. They had a diver in there when we left that was cleaning it. And I was sitting there going, okay, it's like maybe 4 foot. No, it's 8 foot deep at the deep end. So there's just a dude in a scuba suit with a vacuum. An alligator gar just swims over him and bumps him a little bit, and then he pops the gar in the ass, and the gar's like...
Yeah. Despite gar looking mean and prehistoric, they're pretty
Alligator
chill.
Gar are actually pretty chill. Needle nose gar. Kind of assholes.
Speaking of assholes, we've kind of gone
off. I know. When we're off the podcast, we'll start organizing a trip because I think we should go to that place.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's talk about some history about Ed and Larraine Warren. I have the history and some other information about them. You have some of their cases.
I have some of their cases, although we talked about this, and it's something I'm glad we talked about because they have a lot of cases, and it would be like, this is already going to be a long episode, and it would be even longer if I were to add all the little intricacies of every case they've investigated.
I think that this could be a 2025 series of us delving into cases every so often from the Warrens.
Kind of like we did with the Loa
and the Lafitte.
Yeah.
Which you still have 8 places with Lafitte you can hit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I haven't forgotten about it, but...
We also need to know where he eventually ended up, because I don't know that one.
Well, we'll get into that later. So what would we start?
Okay, so Ed was born September 7th, 1926, and Larraine was born January 31st, 1927. Now not Ned, but Ed died August 23rd, 2006, and Larraine Warren passed away on April 18th, 2019. So they're both no longer with us. They are the Ma and Pa is what they tried to post themselves as of paranormal investigation. However, I'm going to say they are boomers.
I mean, they were they're silent
actually, no, they're not. Yeah, they're silent generation. No, actually, no. They might still be the tail end of the greatest generation because my grandparents weren't born much earlier than them. Now, how the two of them met, their meet cute, was Ed was a movie usher and met Larraine there since she and her mother were regulars going to the early matinees at the theater. And her mother pushed her to date such a fine young man who is shaped like a potato.
Yeah, if you see a picture of Ed and Larraine Warren and then you look at the movie, the actor and actress that portray them, it's like...
Okay, the dude they have playing Ed is actually
he's
kind of hot everyday man, and then Larraine is, if she didn't have the bun.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to judge. It's just that buns are mama haircuts, and
yeah, that's the thing. They tried to make her look as attractive as possible, having a beehive.
We want them to be approachable hot.
Yeah.
we want Ed and Larraine to be approachable hot. So they were both devout Roman Catholics, and they are currently buried at the Stepney Cemetery in Monroe, Connecticut.
Okay, yeah.
This is one of those things Now, here's some things that starts to get my hackles up into get some hairs on the back of my neck and makes me put on my skeptic fedora because I don't want to deal with the trilby.
Yeah. You want the real.
You know what? No. You know what? I'm a Southern gentleman. Because you've seen it. I literally have a straw woven wide brim hat.
Hey, those are good though.
Oh God, I love that thing. Anyway, so let me put on my Pampas Grass paranormal skeptic hat here. Ed claimed to be a natural demonologist, and Larraine claimed to be a clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Now, she claimed that she could see people's auras and see entities that were not visible to the eye because they also casted an aura. Ed was eventually recognized by the Catholic Church and listed officially as a lay exorcist. He was not part of the clergy, but he could, by the Catholic Church, do an exorcism.
Yeah, as far as I know, okay, and I know there are going to be skeptics out there. It's it's all bullshit. Okay, sure. But when it comes to being a demonologist or being an exorcist, you have to go through actual channels, right? It's not just, you can't just be yeah, I'm a demonologist.
Well, yeah, there's people who do that.
I mean, obviously there's going to be people that do that. However, people who are accredited, if you're talking about priests,
these bona fide exorcists and demonologists, he's a suitor.
He's a suitor. He can get Beelzebub right out of there. I'm just saying, like, there are people that study this and actually get into it, as opposed to, like, you know, your average Ghost Adventures guest that's like, I'm a demonologist.
Okay.
I read this book.
I'm going to go ahead and spoil that a little bit because I've done some research into I'm still going through a whole lot of the back catalog of, and that's why we drink. And I love that one of them calls them Zach Bagel Bites.
Yeah, I don't want bagel bites.
We don't have those though. But Zach Baggins, the creepiest hobbit of them all, who's like 6'3" or something like that. A lot of the people that he has on his show are actually in the paranormal community. They're
accredited.
They're accredited by the standards of the paranormal community, and I'm still staring at them like, what's your day job? Yeah. And I hate to say it that way, but I mean, I'm the more of a believer out. I'm leaning way too far in. I'm more of the believer out of the two of us in a lot of this stuff, but like Father Sebastian of the vampire clans and stuff like that. Anyway, we're going down too much of a bunny trail. Now, Ed enlisted during World War II. He had a near service. He had a near-death experience when his vessel collided with an oil tanker in the North Atlantic. That is what his biography, and that's what people from NESPR, their organization, said. However, this is where we start getting into some of the fabrications about the Warrens, because it turns out the ship was just off the coast of Staten Island, New York, and it wasn't... Okay, one, did he end up in the Atlantic Ocean? Yes. Was it like he was in the North Atlantic bobbing and all of a sudden a shark fin went by? No.
Okay, so wait, does he like make it out to be like one of those things where he's like, I was in the middle of war?
Okay, the thing is that from what I read during my research, a lot of this information was written later. So I don't know how much is actually Ed saying this, or like Ed's kids saying this, or well, their daughter saying this, or someone that knew Ed saying this. Because let's be honest, we've dealt with World War II vets growing up. I shouldn't say dealt with. We've had the honor of being around them, and the stories go from being like
just realistic. To be clear, when we say dealt with, we use it as a neutral term. We don't necessarily.
I'm sorry, it does have a negative term, but what I'm saying is like you hear a story from Pop.
Yeah, my papa and my grandfather were both in the World War II.
Pop has 52 confirmed kills.
The World War II.
The World War II. Hopefully there's not another one coming.
World War II 2.
2.2.
2.2. Electric Boogaloo. This time it's personal. I mean, the other one was kind of personal too.
All these... Damn, Chris. Oh, man. But in any case... What I'm saying is that sometimes pop stories get a little bit more exaggerated the further away from it you get.
Right. It's like you're playing a game of telephone with yourself, and it's not necessarily...
And it's not even Pop who might have said it. It's just you remembering Pop stories. And the only reason I keep doing that is...
Well, I'm just talking about in terms of like the way way people's memories work, and as we get older, those events, as we get further away from those events... you kind of play a game of telephone with yourself where it just, the details get a little bit more drastic, a little bit more dramatic.
Now, in 1945, Ed and Larraine get married while he's on leave. There's some questions about the time frame there for the legality, but it makes a very romantic story on the NESPR website that, you know, he survives this near-death experience. He gets to come home for survivor's leave, gets married, and then goes back to the war. But it's 1945, so the war is about to...
So he basically goes across the Atlantic, and then...
He does not. It's 1926 is when he's born, and we're talking 1945. We're looking at somebody who's like 22 years old, and he didn't get into the war at the very beginning. Now, Ed then went to Yale's Perry Art School for an art degree. Now, here's when they start getting into their paranormal stuff. Ed starts to paint portraits or draw portraits of people's houses he believed that were haunted and would give them to Larraine, who would then give them to the homeowner, because it'd be, if a woman walked up and knocked on your door in the 1940s or 50s and handed you a sketch of your house, it would seem less threatening than if all of 5'7" of Ed showed up.
To be fair,
I have no clue if Ed Larraine was tall or not, or if Ed Warren was tall or not, but he doesn't look it in pictures. Okay, let's be honest. The pictures that we have seen of Ed are from the 70s, and right. Ed very much looks like a televangelist. Like, he looks like fucking Faldwell. Like, not Faldwell. What's his name? It was Faldwell. The guy. Why?
Yeah. He looks like a man that would have very problematic opinions. Well, he probably did. About certain races of people.
Now, the thing is, this is what makes it creepy to me. Like, I have in all bolded letters. This is kind of creepy. They would use this then to ask the people if they could investigate their house. Like, my husband drew this picture of your house, and he thinks it's haunted. We will give it to you and frame it for you if you allow us to investigate your home. Here's my thing as a homeowner. Larraine, blink twice if you need help.
That's like a recipe weird. For someone coming in and just like stealing your shit.
No, this is how you end up with like you're in the basement tied up and about to be murdered type situation. Like, right. This is like, there's a whole nother franchise we could spin this, but we would get sued, because I'm going to go ahead and say this. Thank God we don't have a massive viewership, because if we did and this made it back to Nesper, we would probably already have, because I've already said two things contradicting their report. Eventually, Ed is going to withdraw from art school in 1952, and he's going to form Nesper, the New England Society for Psychic Research. And they began to do lectures and writing books and doing tours about their cases, and they started making money off of this. So at this point, Ed and Larraine are kind of our people, the con people. I don't mean con like conning people. I mean like conventions. Like, we knew ASI, we knew several different groups that their whole business was associated with going to conventions.
When we were around 10 years, oh my God.
Yeah, before my son was born.
Around 10 years ago, when we would do steampunk and just...
Hell, we've been those people. We've been invited to conventions before doing that steampunk and leather sell. Now, this is also... Now, at
this point, were they actually actively investigating as well?
Okay. There are the number of investigations the Warrens have done that most people don't know about is nearly countless. They have... They have over 50 years before Ed's death of investigating haunted homes. And I'll be honest, the way they started out is the same way like Ghost Hunters started out. Like, if you remember the first season of Ghost Hunters, they're busting, like, they're going like, hey, I found some uninsulated wires, because you have a house from like 1935 and the wires might be emitting a frequency that is bothering you, but also, hey, replace the tube and knob with like actual wiring. Also, hey, we found like this weird point where your air conditioner, the banding wasn't tight enough, so it was making a really weird high-pitched vibration that when we were in there, and once we figured that out and we held it tight, we stopped getting headaches in this room. Like, the first couple seasons were like they actually went into regular ass people's houses,
and it just felt like, okay, they're not really making a statement on whether or not something's haunted. They're just kind of looking at what they have.
Well, they went in to see if it was haunted, and they also went in to debunk stuff. But the problem is like with sci-fi, they weren't making money off of that. What made them money were the episodes where it's like, oh, this was a fucking demon. I mean, and the same thing with Zach Baggins, the scariest hobbit of them all, which I think we should now coin as our term for him, or the blingiest, because he's got them Ed Hardy genes. I can't pull off Ed Hardy jeans, but I mean, Zach.
Who did, really?
Zach can.
Okay, well, okay, you
got to be a tall white man with next to no ass to pull off Ed Hardy jeans. Because if I put him on, it's apple bottom jeans, boots with the laces. But I broke him. No, but the thing is, it's like, even if you look at like any of the ghost shows today, it's hardly ever we debunk this. It's always, it's haunted, it's a demon, it's a fucking demonic fae.
Oh yeah, when we were going to visit the Raven House, we were watching Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
And all the episodes we were watching,
it's a demon.
It wasn't just that, it was like they would go in there and they would talk about the place, and they would talk about it as if they already had the conclusion. Right.
Well, that's because they had.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's...
Well, what I'm saying is, like, whether or not they had the conclusion in Ghost Hunters or, you know, with Ed and Larraine Warren or whatever, it's like they're going in there with the intent to be like, okay, there's stories about ghosts, but we're also going to check out some other things to make sure there isn't, like, you know, a creaky floor or...
Well, the thing is that, let's be honest. The longer you're in the paranormal game, the less anybody wants to see that it's not haunted. Like, I bought us the beginning of what's probably a ghost hunting kit.
Yeah, we'll look at that later.
Yeah, and I'll probably buy us a cheap-ass radio that we can turn into a spirit box, as I watched a YouTube video on how to do it. But the thing here is that the more you do this, if my business is to write a book, or my business is to say I've exorcised demons, if my business is to do lectures across the country to sell tickets, I'm going to talk about shit that I dealt with that required me to use my oogie boogie spiritual powers. And so that's really, like, the early Warrens, I don't have a problem with. It's the further into this that we're going to get. Now, at the same time that in 1952, they also founded their paranormal museum, which I do not want to go to. And in 1946,
you don't want to go in there and talk with Annabelle?
We will end up talking shit on these two dead people. We are going to talk shit on these two dead people.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
We should. You're right.
I'm about to bury the lead here. However, I am going to throw out my Louisiana skeptic. I am not fucking with the Annabelle doll. I do not want to tap the glass. I don't want to be near that glass. Like, the only of the Warren cases that has me a little heebie-jeebied.
Well, you know what? We can talk about that later.
Yeah. Now, they had their daughter in 1946, their daughter Judy. They also began to expand their fame or infamy, depending on who you talk to, by going on radio talk shows and late night talk shows in the 50s. So they started going on I didn't write down but who was the host, but they started going to like the early version and local versions like of Jimmy Carson. And they eventually ended up on Jimmy Carson. Now, to prove they were not frauds, Larraine went to UCLA to see Dr. Voss to be tested to see if she was a sensitive. Chris, I'm gonna like we've had several asides here.
Yes, let me go to this random place in my psychic.
Well, hold on. Going to UCLA, an accredited, very smart college. Going to Dr. Moss, who I didn't write this all down, had a very long pedigree of everything. But here's the thing, dude. Like, how do you scientifically prove you're sensitive to psychic bullshit? Like,
yeah, you don't even have like parameters on what, like,
modern day version of this. I'm gonna go over to DeBry, or I'm gonna go to MIT to see if I have a quirk from My Hero Academia. That's how I feel about this. Like, Larraine goes, I can see dead people. We're gonna scientifically prove that, ma'am.
It's like, how do you... I mean, that's...
But here's the thing, is I feel like the first question is, ma'am, are the dead people in the room with us? Yes. Oh my fucking God.
I mean, well, that's the biggest problem with, like, trying to, like, scientifically... It's just so hard to quantify in, like, a scientific setting, like, what is or isn't paranormal.
Do you want to know what the response was?
What?
They declared that she was a light trance medium that could see auras. Because apparently...
How did they even come up with that?
Because they put an EKG on somebody, the sticky pads.
Right.
And what she said the frequency was of the aura matched the frequency that came off of the EMF or the pads.
That means nothing.
That means the electrical value of a human body, which is like...
that means that means less than nothing. Like,
Now, however, you want to know what you want to know that this is going to be before I move on, because I got a couple other things before you come into your, like, you're sitting here going, Hewitt,
it's time.
But let me say this: you want to know who they knew in the Catholic Church very well?
Oh no,
Pope Benedict the 16th, Cardinal Ratzinger of the High Inquisition, was their close correspondent who said that Ed was a demonologist. The man whose signature is on every check to a family of an altar boy, which, pausing right now because this is going to come up later in the episode. Hey, this is Hewitt here, and future Chris might cut this out and put this at the very beginning. That's his prerogative. This episode is going to deal with violence against minors of the sexual nature in a couple of these stories. So yeah, Cardinal Ratzinger was the one who wrote every check to someone abused by a priest. His signature was on, hold on, let me do this. His signature was on every fucking check under John Paul the II.
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. Like, here's the thing: is like, dude, you know how desperately I want to believe this is true, and we are dealing with some of the most problematic individuals.
I mean, problematic is like a pretty light word.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. So we also have Nesper. Nesper's paranormal investigations are still going on. They have a website. It's currently run by Tony and Judy Spira. Judy is their daughter.
Right.
The current team is quite large and still actively does investigations throughout the New England area, mostly New England area, kind of like TAPS from Ghost Adventure or Ghost Hunters, but they still do investigations across the country, and they also do investigations internationally. Nothing as dramatic since Ed and Larraine have died has happened at all. They have not had any other, like, I found a fucking centaur ghost. They've not dealt with like any of the wild shit that they've happened. So maybe it's skipping a generation. I don't know.
It's just it's just the moon cycle. Okay.
Now let me talk about their method. Now initially they did try. Ed and Larraine tried to debunk everything in the house that could be ghosty. They were some of the first people to use photo and audio recording evidence. So they're some of the first people to get EVPs. They documented everything in writing. Like, they started handling everything with the scientific method, like boom, 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 step by step.
Right.
They did research on the site. They tried to rationally figure stuff out. And then Larraine got feelings.
Oh, okay.
Here's the major issue. Most of the research they did on locations was inaccurate or straight up fabricated. So, like, there's one where they talked about, like, it was over a native burial ground. The natives didn't live within 500 miles of that house. Like, it was not like they walked 500 miles. Do you know how far 500 miles is?
Yeah, no, that's pretty far.
That is Illinois. That is the distance I drove.
Yeah, that, like, if you were to go directly south 500 miles, you're probably in
the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, that's right, baby. You yell angry from 3 rooms away.
Right. So Nesper, the way they operated was, at first they were like, we're going to try and
But the problem is like they looked for... Okay, you know how we've sometimes done a quick Google search for something when coming up with a Monster of the Week game?
Right.
That. Now, they never tried to see if someone may have been suffering from mental health issues. That's a huge one I saw with the Warrens. It's a big thing I keep seeing with the ghost investigation community is no one is seriously looking at did they see a ghost?
Okay, so it's not like they're like, okay, it's this person suffering from like a severe mental episode and they might need like a treatment.
No,
like,
okay, think about this. They're doing it in the 40s, 50s, 70s, and 80s and 90s before Ed dies. How good was mental health back then?
I mean, they would be doing Nesper around the time that like lobotomies were still in vogue.
Like, let's be honest. Either of our mental whatevers, how would we have handled it in the 50s and 60s? Alcohol. Like, we would have been sitting there going, highball. Highball, Sazerac.
Prescription.
No, there was no prescriptions. Like we would, like the way men dealt with.
When I say prescription, I mean abuse.
Yes, the Warren. Now here's the thing: the cool thing about the Warrens is they never asked for money. They never asked for money. However, they always secured rights to books, TVs, and movies. Like they made sure that they got the right to write about this. So like, hey, I came to your haunted house. Hey, you don't got to charge me for this, but I'm going to need you to sign this non-disclosure. And that if I was to make a book or movie off of what happened in your house, you cannot come out and say anything.
That gets into something in one of mine, but we'll get into that.
Now, after the movie The Exorcist came out, the Warrens started to claim more and more cases were inspired by demons. And it's not before we get into anything else, before we really get into the part where I'm going to be ugly.
And we haven't even gotten to the cases yet.
No, we haven't. Like, seriously, we're sitting here at 30 plus. This is going to be one of our longest episodes.
Yeah.
Well, we also did research on this in cases. Everybody in the after The Exorcist came out. I shouldn't just say in the 70s. After The Exorcist came out, everybody wanted to say it was demons because it was in vogue.
Yeah.
And here's my thing. As an individual out here, 90% of fucking hauntings are not demons. I'd chalk it up to the fucking fae before I'd chalk it up to demons on a lot of shit.
So, yeah, where were we?
We're on to your part. I've talked about the history. I've talked about Nesper. I've talked about their method. And now we need to talk about some of their cases. Okay,
so Nesper, as an organization, has over 1,000 cases under their belt.
Impressive.
Yeah. And like you said, I don't even think they have a Wikipedia page. At least I didn't see one when I was researching.
No, they do have a lot of information on their website, though, which is... Let me go ahead and name that one. I did not quote them at all, but it is... it's Tony Spira. Yes, I did. It's TonySpira.com.
Tony Spira?
TonySpira.com is the Nesper website because it is run by Tony, the son-in-law of the Warrens.
That's... Okay.
Well, look, dude. Think about when they got a website back in the 90s.
Okay, this episode is already janking us up a bit. So let's just start
with how jank everything is.
Yeah. So they have over 1,000 paranormal cases under their belt, and these paranormal cases led into a film franchise, as we know, it's called The Conjuring.
Yep.
And
that includes all the Conjuring movies, the Nun movies, and the Annabelle movies.
The Nun movies, I looked it up, completely made up for movies.
So there's nothing, but that doesn't fall in the Conjuring series.
It's in the Conjuring. Okay,
is it in the Conjureverse?
It's in the Conjureverse. It's like they have their own Conjuring cinematic universe now, and the Nun is in there. But the Nun is a Hollywood creation. There was no, as far as I could see, there was no Nun.
She does hit all the right notes, though.
So the first case we got to talk about is the one that started off the Conjuring franchise, obviously, which is the Parent Family haunting, or the haunting of the... It had so many names. They call it the Conjuring House now, but...
Which there is a... We need to do a deep dive on this one, because currently right now the owner of the Conjuring House is saying that Jason from Ghost Hunters has sent a demon to kill her.
There's some drama in
no, it's dude, it is so nuts. Jason Hawes has had to come up no.
Okay, so no matter what you think of Taps or Jason and Grant, just him picturing him being
the look on his face is no.
So in 1970, the Perrin family moved into this 14-room farmhouse known at... Okay, that's what it was. The Old Arnold Estate is what it used to be known as. In Harrisville, Rhode Island, about 20 minutes from Providence.
Can we call it the Arnold Estate instead of the Conjuring House? That sounds so much more grandiose.
Actually had 3 or 4 different names before then. I mean, it's a house that dates back to the founding fathers, so it got the name of whoever was staying in there.
It is so hard to take you serious right now with your hair down long and your trucker hat on.
And you know what? I'm going to go into my truck, and it's going to be your truck, actually. And
Hey.
I'm going to bitch about the lids. Okay, we're getting off topic. So it's about 20 minutes away from...
Make sure it cranks. I haven't driven it in over a week.
Oh, God. So 20 minutes away from Providence and about an hour away from Boston is where this house is. Over the course of 10 years of living there, the family would experience many different things. A broom. They said like cleaning equipment, but specifically the broom would reappear and appear places. They would hear strange noises.
I didn't put that broom there.
Yeah.
You sure?
Strange mounds of dirt would appear on clean floors. So when they would clean a floor, they would see a mound of dirt somewhere. There are times when the father was attacked and was said to be locked in the cellar on occasion.
Okay, up until the attack in the cellar, this sounded like a Luton.
Kind of what I was thinking. But they would also get strange smells, like rotting fish would materialize randomly. Objects would move on their own. After a while living there, Carolyn Perrin would investigate a house to find multiple unexplained deaths on the property. The Warrens were asked in 1972, so they moved in 1970, and then around... I think they actually moved in 1971. The timeline's kind of fucked. But in 1972, they asked the Warrens to investigate. They would investigate on and off for about 10 years, and this is what the Warrens would find. They believed the house was haunted by a witch named Bathsheba Sherman.
Wait, hold on. We're going all the way back to Bathsheba Sherman.
Yeah, Bathsheba Sherman.
Okay, look. Okay, if this is like a Puritan witch time period, why would these people name their child Bathsheba? That's not a good name from the Bible. Like, that seems like someone set their kid up for some bullshit.
We'll get into that because they said that Bathsheba Sherman they said she sacrificed a child, sometimes her own child,
I know
to the
this
devil
story.
before hanging herself on the property. Now, the way they said that, there's a whole story about her killing a child with like either a sewing needle or a small instrument.
Ooh.
And people accused her of doing it, but she was never formally tried or anything like that. She just went free. They believe Sherman resented the presence of Carolyn. I put Carolyn Sherman. I meant Carolyn Perrin.
Was she preggers?
Well, no, she was just another woman, I guess. Yeah. Women. Am I right? This is the 70s. They had, misogyny. Anyway. I'm sorry. I'm just getting...
I feel like this is like 1970s and like 1670s.
Yeah,
thing.
I'm getting a little bit cynical here, but
that's the whole the actual episode. The actual name of this episode should be Cynicism.
Yeah, they performed a séance to contact Sherman, in which it is said that Carolyn was attacked or possessed by Sherman. After this, Roger Perrin, the husband, kicked out the Warrens for fear of meddling might have hurt her wife or his wife.
You got my wife possessed by the devil. Leave.
The Perrins would continue to live in the house until about 1980. So, essentially what happened, according to the Warrens, they went there and, all this strange stuff was happening. And after Roger saw all the crazy stuff start to happen, he got freaked out and he was like, y'all just need to leave.
No more of this shit.
Yeah. So, you want to hear, what might have actually been...
Spousal abuse and mental illness?
Well, that might have been part of it, but here's some reality. Bathsheba Sherman was a real person, was not reported to be a witch or have killed anybody. She died at the age of 73, not of suicide or on the property. She did have a son, but he had grown up to be a farmer. The Perrins and Warrens essentially slandered a dead woman from the 1800s.
So what I mentioned earlier, not accurate research.
Yeah. So
they were like, Bathsheba, that's a bad name in the Bible. She's a witch.
I mean, I think that's kind of how it went.
She kills babies.
She kills babies.
With something that seems so innocuous, but if you heard so like, yeah, he was murdered with what? A sewing kit. What the fuck? Like,
she was just like, tee-hee. Just put that in the skull.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about like when you hear like what was someone killed by. Like if you heard fireworks, you're like, well, that's their own damn fault. But it's one of those like they were asleep in their bed and killed by fireworks. It's like,
huh? Yeah.
It's one of those like let's say something weird that makes everybody go, ew.
Yeah.
It's like and it was an ice pick, but not where you think it was. What?
It's like what? What? Okay, so Perrin's, quote, research into the mysterious deaths is dubious at best. There are no recorded incidents of intentional homicide on the property. And also, many of the deaths she attributed to the house happened elsewhere, sometimes nowhere close to the property.
Now, let's be honest. If you're on a farm in the 16, 17, or early 1800s and there's a mysterious death, it could simply be dumb shit happened on the farm.
Yeah.
Like to quote,
someone
like
could just have dysentery.
Well, no, I'm just saying is like I got myself a new wheat thresher, early 1800s John Deere. What happened? I done lost all my arm up to the elbow. What'd you do? I stuck it up its butt.
So, when writing for the Skeptical Inquirer in 2016, Jim Nickel dismissed many of the claims of the paranormal, positing that many of the strange reports were from the parents, could be attributed to like the house, wind, overactive imagination, things like that. The inhabitants of the house after the parents saw little, if any, paranormal activity.
That sounds like the Amityville Horror House, which does not look like the Amityville Horror House anymore.
Well, we'll get into that too.
All I know is that one's been remodeled because people kept going up.
Yeah.
You got any ghosts in that house?
Yeah.
I want to. Can I pet that ghost? Can I pet that ghost?
On top of that, the parents' household was rocky, with Roger and Carolyn on the verge of divorce. Roger would also later accuse the Warrens of being fraudsters, although Carolyn and the kids would swear although people believe that was less to do with them like legitimately believing the house was haunted and more to do with like creating a wedge between
mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Like, that's shitty.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I don't know anything about the parents' household, and it like Roger Perrin might have been a shitty person. I don't know.
Well, this is sounding very familiar to like several of their other cases, like because I know you're eventually going to talk about the Amityville Horror House, but this is a couple that did the Amityville Horror House. This is a young couple that didn't have a lot of money that bought a house in the upper end of their loan ability, and they might not have been able to afford it. So the easiest way to get out of it without getting fucked was house haunted. Yeah. And I mean, like, also, let's be honest. You and I both came from fairly stable households. You had a much more supportive household. I had a very much more authoritarian household, but like we didn't have parents that split.
Yeah.
But 1970s, man, like that was like divorce was the new cocaine in that decade.
Right. Nickel would also point out that the involvement of the Warrens greatly hurt the credibility of the accounts, which is something that is...
What year was this case again?
1972 to about 1978.
They were involved for like 6 damn years?
Yeah. Well, I've heard like they were involved for as much as 10 years, but they moved out at 1980. And like at the culmination of everything, apparently, Roger was like, y'all need to get the fuck out. I'm tired of y'all.
Ed comes in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make myself a sandwich.
Yeah. Oh, God. They had young... Oh, no. Okay. So the Annabelle doll. So we're moving on.
Okay, let me go ahead and before you go into this one, this is the one I don't want to fuck with. Like
well,
any doll ghost story like Robert the doll, Harold the doll, Annabelle the doll. I don't want to fuck around with those.
We might have a different perspective. Just let me get through this, and I'll tell you why.
Look, I just don't want to touch the artifact, just personally.
In 1970, a student named Donna was gifted a doll that then started to behave strangely. Now,
Raggedy Ann, by the way.
You spoiled it.
I didn't spoil anything.
Just let me. I'm leaving that in because I'm punishing you. So I couldn't find too much details on like what exactly the doll did, but the student, Donna, and her roommates would like play with the doll and try and like coax it to do things until it started getting more aggressive and violent. They then took the doll to a medium and they said the doll was possessed by a spirit named Annabelle. That they also said the spirit was demonic. Okay. When the Warrens got involved, they believed the doll became a doorway for malicious spirits. And after Annabelle apparently killed someone, they decided to put their doll in their collection to keep art. They put it in their collection.
It's in their museum in the basement in a very large glass case.
And
they spray it like they spray shit down with holy water, and if you touch it, there's a whole fuck. Yeah. It's like the changing of the fucking guard at places.
Yeah. So about that, no one has ever come forward to corroborate the events. No victims have ever come forward, and like you said, the Annabelle doll is a fucking Raggedy Ann doll. One of the most mass-produced dolls to exist. I had a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll growing up.
Do you remember in the 1980s when there was the Raggedy Ann and Andy movie, and Andy was
I watched the shit out of that
when
movie.
And Raggedy Andy was such a sweet himbo boy trying to defend his sister.
He's such a dum-dum, but
you know what? He's in our party in the new, when we can put mods into Veilguard. Raggedy Ann or Andy is going to replace one of the beefy tanks. He's like, I'm going to fight him. I'm going to fight him, man. I'm going to get him for you.
Come on, I'm going to get him.
Like that dude got his ass kicked and he stood back up. I didn't hear no fucking bell.
Now,
sorry.
Maybe it's because I had a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll growing up, but one big thing that made me, it's like, okay, Annabelle is fucking bullshit, is the fact that, like...
Are you talking about the movie or just the case?
The case itself.
Both. You're saying both.
Both, yeah. So some skeptics believe that it could have been inspired by a Twilight Zone episode where a living doll was given to a girl by her mom named Annabelle.
I did not know this.
So,
okay, I might be switching to your side here. However, I'm still not fucking with shit in their basement. Like, look.
Fucking with shit in basements. Never.
Okay, look. I'm from Louisiana. Basements on the first step are wrong. I am always on edge in a goddamn basement. Basements are already weird for us. So, like, the fact that the Warrens put all the creepy shit in their basement just seems like the worst kind of curio cabinet.
Okay, so to segue into the trial of Arnie Johnson, which is the
devil made me do it.
Yeah. And that, of course, if you're keeping up with, like, the Conjuring films, I believe that's the third
I have no clue. I haven't watched any of this shit because I'm a scaredy cat.
Like, despite being a horror fan, like...
the thing is, they're not really good horror movies.
Like, some people, like, swear by them. Because, like, James Wan, the guy that created Saw, and I like Saw. People like his movies.
You're more of a gore fan than just... Like, my horror is I love suspense.
Well, I mean... My tastes have kind of matured a little bit too, but like when I want a good ghost story, it's like Haunting of Hill House or where it's like terror and just like a good story, as opposed to like trying to sell a couple that is very.
You know what I love? My absolute favorite horror movie is Evil Dead 1.
Evil Dead 1 is great because it's stupid and it's fun.
And you know what? My second favorite horror movie? Evil Dead 2.
Okay, like honestly,
which is not a horror movie.
Like honestly, my favorite horror movie or just movie in general is Evil Dead 2. Like
it's so good. Also I love Army of Darkness and Ash vs. Evil Dead.
But it just doesn't. Evil Dead 2 is like the perfect, stupid, fun movie.
Okay, and now I've actually gone back and watched the original Jason movie. God, what is it called?
Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Or which one? Like
No,
part 1, 2, or 3?
No, the original one where it was his mom killing everybody.
Where she's like, I'm gonna
Jason,
do this for you, Jason.
Jason is fucking dead and comes up at the end of the it's not a fucking surprise if it's older than me, y'all. But when Jason zombies up out the water like the toxic fucking Avenger when he was a kid before he went down, like apparently while his mom was slaying people, Jason was getting gains. While his mother was killing, what was his name, Johnny Depp, Jason was underwater getting gains.
Johnny Depp was in
second movie.
He was in the he was actually in the other franchise,
Friday the 13th. He got sucked.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. He got sucked into the bed.
Yeah, he got sucked into the bed. You're thinking of Kevin Bacon.
I am, when he got the arrow shoved through his.
Yeah, he's in the second movie.
By the way, you and I are both 3 degrees from Kevin Bacon, thanks to Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm 3 and you're 4.
I love the fact that we're talking about this instead of Ed and Larraine Warren.
Because if we're going to talk about something fake, I want to enjoy it.
Okay, so in 1980, the Warrens were called to help the younger brother of Arnie Johnson's fiancee, David Glatzel, in a suspected case of possession. After several days of a grueling exorcism, the demon left David and apparently went into Arnie.
Yeah, he asked it to, according to the way they wrote it.
I read that. Like, other accounts were like, he just happened to. But here's the funny thing, though. It's like, months later, he killed his landlord.
Arnie?
Yeah.
But the one who was originally possessed.
No, David was the one originally possessed.
And then Arnie all of a sudden killed his landlord.
Like, months later.
Hashtag go Luigi.
Yeah. The Warrens claim the man was possessed at the time of the killing, therefore he should not be found guilty. Now, getting into the reality of the subject, Johnson and his landlord actually got into a heated altercation at the time of him killing his landlord. While Arnie and his wife stand by the Warrens, there hasn't been any verification by any priest or anyone else working. In fact, I think the Glatzel's, the wife's family, were like didn't come forward, and like
shit.
Okay, so when they had the trial, they said not guilty by reason of possession. As soon as the judge was like, "Nah, bitch, that's dumb," they were like, "Okay, so we're just going to do a self-defense case." Now, Arnie Johnson, hold
on. So we're in Louisiana.
Right.
Can we legally argue innocent by way of possession?
I think this is the only written case where someone tried that and it didn't work.
So, like, if we had narcotics on ourselves, we could not argue innocent by possession.
I was possessed to take this cocaine.
I was possessed to possess.
Fucking possessed.
The ghost of Johnny Cast possessed me, and now I have so much cocaine.
I have so much cocaine.
I don't even know why.
There's so many 8 balls. It's like 96 balls in here.
I could open up so many billiards.
Oh my god. But not the billiards you're thinking.
Beard these nuts.
God damn it. Okay, so the not guilty plea by reason of possession did not fly with the judge, so they decided to go with self-defense, and Johnson served a 5-year, just shy of 5 years of a 25-year sentence. Now, he was actually convicted, or is it convicted, or? Yeah, it's convicted. Like, he was found guilty of manslaughter. He was not found guilty of first-degree murder, which he was originally charged for. Babby is doing his...
Babby is mad because Babby's getting her diaper changed.
So here's the thing.
Damn.
God damn.
Look, my little one is getting vocal right now.
Yeah.
We've had 3 sentences this week. The first one was, "Daddy, no, not." And she ran off. I told her no to something. And then she said, "Daddy, no, not." And she ran off. I was like, "Are you trying to tell me I don't know? Are you trying to double/triple negative me in this situation?" The other one,
it's like Uno reverse right there.
And then she reversed on herself because eventually I picked her up and she goes, "Ah," and I went, "Yeah, I got way longer legs." The other full sentence she said is Kitty be bad.
With the Artie Johnson case, I mean, it seemed like an altercation in which the Warrens got involved, and then it was suddenly like, oh yeah, let's just say it was possession or whatever. So I don't think it was possession. I think just the Warrens came up with their shit, and then the Johnsons were like, hey, yeah, we believe you. Yeah, I was totally possessed.
I didn't just murder a man of my own free will. It was the devil.
It was the devil. I think that's what happened.
Okay, so that's the devil made me do it case. What else you got?
Okay, so the Amityville horror case.
Oh.
So in 1974, Ronald Joseph DeFeo murdered six of his family members in their home in Amityville. In 1975, George and Kathleen Lutz.
Before you run into the Lutz, let's go ahead and acknowledge the first part of this story is 100%.
No, it's real.
Like, I mean, that dude, like, straight up.
Police records.
Like, now, here's my thing: is how the fuck did you murder that many people with a shotgun? Like, just personally.
Yeah, no.
Like, I'm a deep sleeper, but, and I believe
George and Kathleen.
I believe he got the death penalty, didn't he?
I believe so. I didn't read too much into it because that
gets into the true crime, not the paranormal.
Right.
You're more true crime than me.
I'm a little bit more true crime. It's more of a guilty pleasure for me, and it's one of those things where I want to be careful when I do. Like when I did the Axemen, I was.
I mean, I'm the one over here that listens to, and that's why we drink regularly. And 50% of that podcast is true crime, and it makes me so fucking uncomfortable.
I mean, like one of my favorite channels is Lazy Masquerade, who only does like true crime stuff now. But like George and Kathy Lutz moved in with their kids shortly after they claimed to have experienced paranormal activity. I didn't get too much into this because I was
there's a pig-headed demon. There was a bunch of fucking flies.
Yeah, blah blah blah.
The little late. No, I'm thinking of the Poltergeist. But here's the thing: is which horror movie would not be made better with the little lady from Poltergeist showing up saying this house is clean at the end of it?
Right.
Did you know she was a cordon bleu chef?
Oh.
And her much younger boyfriend also was too?
Okay.
Get it, girl. That's all I can say.
God damn it. So, Amityville Haunting, it has been widely considered a hoax by both skeptics and paranormal investigators alike.
Well, wasn't it that everybody that moved in the house after the Lutz had absolutely nothing?
You're right, yeah. And everyone who talked about it was like, or who investigated was like, it's nothing. It's nothing. Really, it's just nothing. Although the Warrens stand by that it wasn't a hoax. The only investigators that I saw that actually gave a shit or like actually believed it was the Warrens.
Hey, fun fact. You want a little bit of a fun fact now that the remodel's done on this Long Island home?
Right.
You want to know how much the Amityville Horror House goes for?
Probably like $4 million.
It was last sold for just pennies, under 1.5 million.
Okay, so I highballed it. So.
You did, but I mean, this is a Long Island home.
So I mean, it has like a kind of a colonial look, if I'm not mistaken. Or
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's more modern now.
Okay, so this might be stepping a little bit on your toes. Some of the more recent owners of the Amityville Horror House got so tired of motherfuckers knocking on their door. Amityville Horror House.
The last little whorehouse in Rhode Island.
Amityville has a whorehouse in it. God have mercy on our soul. If Dolly Parton was in the Amityville Horror, I would watch that movie way more.
She's like, come on, ghost.
Her and Reba McEntire of your bullshit are sisters that come in and just get rid of ghosts.
It's a whole like musical, and they do like country blues.
Hold on. We do a new version of the Ghostbusters with nothing but older country music stars that are female.
Country and blues music stars.
So you get Dolly, you get Reba.
Oh, God.
You know what? Fucking grab Faith Hill just because. And they come in. When I run out of spells to deal with ghosts, I'm not out of shells. And it's nothing but them firing fucking Epsom salt shotgun shells and a ghost. Oh shit!
So they do like supernatural.
And the only reason I say this is because on TikTok today, because I started as a TikTok, I saw I'm Reba Mack tired of your bullshit, and it's Reba shooting someone with a shotgun because Reba was in fucking God, what was it with the worms underground? Tremors. Reba was in Tremors.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Oh, the reason we're
talking about something that's so much more interesting.
Here's the thing: is you and I are talking about something that's interesting, so we don't have to eventually get to my bookend on this bullshit.
Oh my god,
we don't. Hold on, gentle listeners at home. I'm gonna end this so terrible.
Okay,
we don't want to do it.
We can get into the Amityville horror case, and we can get into like the other horror cases or all the other haunting cases later. I honestly got to a point in this where I was looking at it and I was going cross-eyed, and I was like, every fucking case, it was like they would come in and it's like,
it's demons.
It's demons. It's haunted.
Here's my thing with the
Amityville. So evil things here, and then people come in and be like, it would even be like other paranormal investigators, which that's how you know you fucked up when like both sides of the aisle are telling you
nah.
But
here's my deal: is like if I'm paying $1.5 million, can I at least have the secret murder room that he found in the basement? Like, because the whole thing of this movie, like, you saw the pig-headed demon in a mystery room that was under the house. Like, if I'm paying $1.5 million and there is a mystery room in my house, I don't care if it's possessed by the fucking devil. I'm a millennial. If I'm paying this, I have access to everything, and the devil will pay me rent. In this economy, if you're like,
look, I got student debt. I need that money.
Big Daddy Joe ain't helping us with our student loans.
Come on, Beelzebub. Come on.
Balfagor, Asmodeus, Leviathan, all you asses.
I don't care if you fought a
Pazuzu.
1,000-year war with God, with Yahweh, pay your fucking rent.
It's like, hey, Pizzari, I don't give a shit about any of this. Do you have them dollars? Like, I'm possessed. No. See, like, you're going to keep doing this and my child's going to have chiropractic. Where's that money? Fucking fine, dick. And just like all of a sudden a bunch of gold denarii coins from the Roman Empire just fall out of your child's mouth. Like,
okay, are you going to stop possessing my child? They got to go to school tomorrow.
Look, dude, I'm paying like $175 a week for daycare. Are you going to act right? Do I get vanilla wafers? I will. You know what? I'll tell the fucking daycare to give you vanilla wafers. Dope. Here's the thing is, this is the most millennial thing I think we've said is like, we're sitting there literally dealing with what might be entities from the beginning of time that are evil, beyond evil. And we're like, you're possessing my child, but like, fucking give me rent.
It's like, dude, come on.
Do you know what
I got work in the morning?
Do you know what copay is? Do you know what my fucking copay is?
Look, my healthcare is United Healthcare. You know what that means?
Asmodeus. Oh shit, bro, I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh shit, bro, I'm sorry. Here's $185. I think that might cover. Oh shit, you know what? That is zero. This is $1,850. Oh my god, I made a Luigi joke. We're now doing this. We've just made CEOs worse than the inner circle of the Goetia. While talking about the Warrens. Oh my, we have wandered.
We're wandering.
We're like the Mississippi River. We're over here, we're over there, and then we just cut some shit off.
So, just some other little tidbits and cases. The Enfield poltergeist. Now, despite the fact that like the movie will have you believe,
I mean, it's kangaroo.
No, that's the Enfield horror. We're talking about the Enfield poltergeist here. This is in England, not in.
Still a kangaroo.
It's still a kangaroo. Okay, so despite the film,
it's a Joey.
Yeah. So, despite what the film says, I forget which one it was. I think it's Conjuring 2.
Conjuring 69. Damn, it's fine.
Yeah. Damn. Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Let that go sit you one more time.
Despite the fact the film depicted them, like, being there, like, consistently, they only showed up once. And a parapsychologist by the name of Guy Leone Playfair. What a name.
That is a good name. You know what? We need to steal that for a character name.
Claims Ed This is his claim. Now, again, if
allegedly.
Like, I read this on the website wikipedia.com. If you want to sue somebody, sue them. So, Guy claimed that Ed said that he could make a lot of money off of the case, although the case is also widely considered to be a hoax. There is the Union Cemetery. Apparently, the Warrens caught some of the best evidence of a ghost. Larraine Warren said it was so good that she had to keep it locked away at the Warren Museum.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what she saw at the... Where is the Union Cemetery? Did you see?
I think it's Connecticut.
Okay.
So it's in the New England area.
So what happened is they all walked in. They shined the black light. And they saw a ghost orgy.
They're just like, damn, that white lady, I mean, she knows what she's doing. I am so fucking sorry. I don't know why I said that.
I'm looking at you with all eyes, which is
anyway. Like, the Union Cemetery is supposed to have a ghost named the Union, or the Union Cemetery is supposed to have a ghost named the White Lady. Larraine Warren. I found this on Reddit. Someone claimed that Larraine Warren said that she spoke to Bigfoot as stated in one of their books.
You know what? That's the most realistic thing I've heard that you've said, because I'm over here on Team Bigfoot is real. I'm always on Team Bigfoot is real.
I'm always on Team Bigfoot is real. In a lot of their cases, and this is something I really want to get into, because this particular subject, both as a metalhead and just as someone that is like lived through the tail end of it, or we both lived through the tail end of it, the Warrens actually contributed a lot to the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s.
Oh, fuck it. You know what? 2025, we have to hit all 6 notes that I know of the satanic panic. Right. We this year, Chris, we got to hit it, because I'll hit the D&D version. If you hit the, do you want, 90s, the tail end was in the 90s. Do you want to do Vampire the Masquerade if I do D&D?
We can do that, but also, like, and you'll know this one. Apparently, and I couldn't find too much information. I'm going to look more into it as a more focused episode. Mm-hmm. But apparently the Warrens, they apparently had some involvement with the West Memphis 3. Yeah, you look up that if you've never heard of the West Memphis 3. But anyway, that's all I have on the cases. Like I said, like, I got to a point where I was like, just about every case I look into, especially like their big cases. I mean, if you watch the movies, you've seen all their big cases. They're kind of just all bullshit.
Well, let me make it worse.
Okay, so do we want to do the warning, or do we want
to... gentle listener, I gave a warning earlier, so I will follow up with this, is that what we are about to deal with is alleged. The only reason I say alleged is to cover Chris and I's ass, because we do not have lawyers or lawyer money, because we have not started our Patreon yet, where Chris and I wear muscle shirts and do this and let you see us record it. No, we will never do that, because that would be terrible.
I mean, I'll do it. I don't care.
Oh, okay, I'll go in a sleeveless shirt too, but like I'm dad bod / heavy bear, and you like tall skinny.
I'm good.
In any case, what I'm about to get into are allegations against the Warrens that involve violence against a minor, which is where we hit our warning for this episode, because we've been trying to be good about this, because we talk about gore and we talk about a bunch of other bullshit. But let me talk to you about the scandals that the Warrens are involved in, which completely debunk anything the Warrens do for me.
Might I say something about a portion of this? I actually didn't know about, like, a portion of the scandal until you actually said something, because we talk about what case or, like, what subject.
Like, okay, we talk about the bullshit of the ghosts and the demons and and the entities.
And when we're making an episode, this is like one of the first episodes where we're kind of doing a joint thing.
Yeah, we both did research for this. Like, Chris made sure when I started doing research for this before Christmas, do this. And we're going to talk about it before we air it.
And then when he reminded me, he said what he was looking at. I was like, oh fuck, oh god.
Yeah,
I didn't.
You gave me you're like, hey, I'll do investigations. I'll talk about bullshit with ghosts, and I'm like, I found the real bullshit.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing: is I will preface this with, I have read multiple fucking sites for this. I didn't list it as a source, but I actually read the photocopy of the contract with the movie studio.
Oh, wait. So the movie, okay, I know a good bit about.
Let's not bury the lead here. So in 2014,
right.
well after Ed's death, Judith Penny, with two N's, claimed that she was in a sexual relationship with Ed Warren starting when she was 15 and continued well into her 30s. So here's the deal. The Warrens might have been a polycule.
Not with a 15-year-old.
But when you bring up that as a teenager, it gets creepy. I give no shits what consenting adults do. Because, in any case, so Ed, for a while, was a bus driver. This is factual. Ed was a bus driver. The relationship between them lasted over 40 years. Judith had a rocky home life, and she began to live with the Warrens and was listed either as their niece or a poor girl with poor situation that they had to take in as good Catholics. Describe my face to the viewers.
Well, he's very pensive, and his eyes are open slightly, but his brow is furrowed. He is looking at me as he would look at someone or an animal that he would want to murder violently.
Look, I'm a teacher. I want, again, this is alleged. This is alleged.
We're going based on the information that we found.
But as a teacher of a child that would be this age, because a lot of my students are this age, and future Chris can bleep. Any case. So Judith began to live with the Warrens. In 1963, she was actually arrested. She was arrested because it was illegal for an unmarried woman to cohabitate with a married man in Connecticut at the time. When you are 15, you are not a fucking woman. You are a child. There is nothing such as an underage woman. It is a child. There is nothing such as unconsensual sex. It is rape. If Chris believes,
I'll bleep anything that we.
Well, if Chris wants to, I'm not gonna. You know what? I don't believe that needs to be bleeped because there's nothing such as non-consensual sex. It's rape.
Like,
okay,
even
that's
statutory rape.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I am a 40-year-old man with two children, one that is 10 and one that is barely about to hit 2, and won't lie. Ever since I've had a daughter.
You get that fire that want to.
Well, the thing is like I knew it about my wife, but my wife's a grown woman, and like I'm gonna be like, yeah, get him, honey. Like that's me behind my wife. In case you, you need me to tag in, elbow drop. This is my daughter. I will straight up end you. They arrested her. It's illegal for an unmarried woman, child, to live with a married man.
So no one's like, they're like,
don't punish the creepy ass dude. Go for the child who obviously.
Which, by the way, like not to disparage someone on their looks, but if you look at Ed Warren, I mean, he looks like he shouldn't be within 300 feet of a school. I'm just saying it. That's just me.
You know what? I will say Ed Warren's dead body should not be within 300 feet of a school. I don't think it is. Any case.
Anyway, not look shaming, just saying.
Now, here's the deal. In 1978, she had an abortion. Which in Connecticut... Now, me, myself, hey, it's your body. It's your choice. Do what you do. Look, okay, let me put it out this way. For anybody that listens to us, because I do know that we got a couple of very right-leaning listeners, and I know we got a lot of people that listen more left, and then we got Europeans that goddamn.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for anyone that listens to us.
Thank you. But the thing is like, here's the deal. if someone impregnates you against your will, you should always have the choice to not carry that to full term, because what the fuck?
Right.
Anybody else want to argue anything else with me? That is so go to our TikTok. I will fight you on TikTok.
Or go to our Blue Sky. Go to our
Go to our Blue Sky. If you go, Chris will fight you on those two. I'll fight you on TikTok, and I will look very grumpy over a camera, which probably doesn't.
I'll just say, look. When it comes to I'm going to be posting more this year. That's part of my New Year's resolutions. I'm going to be doing the Backwoods Obscura social media, and I'm going to be posting more. So if you want to fight with me,
so let's get back to this. You want to know who told her to have it?
Larraine.
Yes, yeah. Larraine said either have it or say that someone assaulted you. It can't be from my husband. Either have an abortion or say a man assaulted you. Because at this point, she had an apartment above the garage on their property. She lived with them from the 70s until Ed's death.
Until Ed's
death.
So, okay, not only did he have
his wife, he also had his fuck buddy. You know what? I'm not going to judge anybody's relationship until you decide to throw a Christ or a Catholic or any type of Christian church in there and then try to come out as like, this house is clean.
What the fuck?
Anyway, the thing is, the Warrens did not want the reputation ruined at the height of their fame and career when this was happening. And while Larraine and her lawyers state to this day the accusations are false, all the movies based off of their work had a clause. The movie could not show the Warrens having sex, could not show them breaking the law, like in the case of having sex with a minor, or kissing. So here's my deal. Before any of this came out, the first Conjuring movie came out before this, and Larraine put this in the contract. That makes me think there's just an iota, a minuscule bullshit of truth in this, because why, before the accusations were made, would you put this out there? Why would you do that? So this to me gives, when Larraine and her lawyers, when the movie started getting made, going, hey, you can't show me and Ed having sex, you can't show me and Ed making out on a ghost adventure, you can't have that, and you also can't show Ed having sex with a minor. Why is it that specific if it's not an iota of truth? Now, their daughter claimed to have never seen anything inappropriate between Ed and Penny. But here's the deal. Ed and Lorraine's daughter spent a lot of her life living with her mother because her parents were on the road so much for ghost hunts.
Okay. So there's not to take autonomy away from their daughter, because...
I mean, if she wasn't there, she wasn't there.
Yeah.
And if she didn't see it, she didn't see it. I mean, it's... How many things were you and I in the same building for and never saw?
Right. That is true.
Like when that dude pooped on... No, that's not so true.
It's like, let's just make something up.
Much of this issue is still tied up in court because it's between the estate and the accuser. Now, the studio that produced the movie claimed the disclaimer on the movie covers any issues, and they do not have any liability for showing any aspect of Ed and Lorraine's life. So when they said this event is based upon true people, but liberties have been taken. Like, the fucking warnings there at the beginning of every movie.
They did the lawyer speak for like, look, we're just telling a story. They're responsible for this.
Right. Now, also, as you mentioned earlier, there are so many accusations against the Warrens that what they did was fake. Now, you know what? I'll knock out my sources. You knock out your sources. I did use Wikipedia to find other sources, so I'm going to cite Wikipedia. The Comian.org, Arts Entertainment and Larraine and Ed Warren, Paranormal Partners, Travel Channel, And it goes into a giant thing about the Warrens. TonySpira.com/about, which is the Nesper site, which, by the way, I don't want to too much disparage Nesper because they have been still doing some good work to help people deal with what's in their houses. A lot of times it is bullshit, and they help them know that it is bullshit. So, like, they're still doing this.
So they're going in there and being like, hey.
They're doing what the Warrens did when they first started.
They're like, there's some mold here.
Yeah, like you might have some ergot. Now, usghostadventures.com. Also, Better Off Red YouTube, which, by the way, I love that because she tells spooky stories while putting on her fucking makeup. And then one of my favorite podcasts that I subscribe to, Christine and M. Thank you very much for, and that's why we drink. M, I love your episode on this. I tried not to shit on them as hard as you did.
Oh, I mean,
they wrecked them.
My sources were. We're starting with Wikipedia. Obviously, Ed and Larraine Warren. We all start there, along with all the different places like the Annabelle doll, the Amityville haunting, things like that. U.S. Ghost Adventures, the truth behind the fake hauntings rarely told. ATI, the true story of the Conjuring, the Perrin family, and the Enfield haunting. The Valley Breeze. Historians wanting to honor Bathsheba Sherman raise funds to repair her headstone. That's where I learned about Bathsheba.
Did they fuck up her headstone?
Her headstone was broken in half and people were raising funds to fix it. And that's where I learned that it was all bullshit. But A Good Night for Murder, the truth about Bathsheba Sherman. We have Radio, the true story behind Conjuring 3. And that's it. That's all of my stuff. I would say, like, thank you for this story, but we're going to continue this story.
Let's say that this is, hey, Chris, thank you for beginning this because you're the one who recommended this subject.
And, I mean, we were just shitting all over the wards, and I really didn't realize how bad it was until I started reading it. And
I feel like we have to at least look at their early stuff when they helped people to give a fair vision. So I think over the course of this next year, this very trying next year, we should delve back into this because we got the Enfield horror, we got the Amityville horror.
Yeah, we got all these cases, and the thing is, like I said, my eyes went cross-eyed.
There's so much
looking into their cases, and there's a lot of cases where it's like, yeah, the Warrens were involved in this. Turns out it's bullshit, and the reason why I didn't go too much into it is because it's like this episode will be longer than what it is now.
Shit, we're pushing 1.5 hours.
Yeah, so this is one of our longer episodes.
Anyway, we are Backwoods Obscura. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, and Blue Skies and Threads and Instagram.
And we release every Tuesday. We are also Team Bonus Action.
Team Bonus Action is a charity card, tabletop, RPG, live and online.
We're everything
group
now.
That if you donate to us while we are streaming, the money goes straight to them. I'm not 100% sure what our charity is, but usually January through March, we are going to donate to the Trevor Project to help transgender youth have a place to live. And look, here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and level this with you. Kids should be taken care of and they need a place to live. So if you can donate, please do. This isn't a cultural
issue. This is kids need a place to stay issue. And I think everyone can agree that, like, we need to help kids and we need to help people that are marginalized and also in a stickier situation.
Right. And let's be honest.
Because we could always be those people.
We could be. But also, let's throw this out there. Even if we're not doing the Trevor Project right now when this releases, because we still got to deal with the charity clerics over at Team Bonus Action, it's always better to help someone that is in a bad situation than not. So if you can, please donate. If you can't, we understand. Please fight the good fight. Please have a good night. And hey, by the way, don't claim a chair got you possessed by the devil.
And have a good day or night or whatever time it is.